Hello, I'm Paul, and today I wanted to speak to you about one of the most important things I've learned helping people to recover for life from anxiety disorders, chronic stress, and anxiety-related problems over the past 11 years. And this is how your brain tricks you in a hidden kind of secretive backdoor way to continue in this pattern. Yeah, even if you don't want to, even if you hate it, even if it's been going on, even if it's destroying your life, your brain does certain things that constantly tricks us to double down and continue in that direction. Cool, so there's two things we're going to go through today, and the first thing is knowing that stress and anxiety is always self-reinforcing. So when your amygdala, when your brain, when your stress response goes off and stress hormones enter your body, it makes us change the way we feel, change the way we think, and change the way we behave. Our brain interprets all information differently when we're in a stress state, and it obviously leans in a direction where it perceives the information in a way that actually reinforces stress. So if we know in ourselves, if we feel stressed, we're more likely to get triggered by things and more likely to feel more stress. And as we're more likely to feel more stress, we're likely to interpret things in a way that creates further stress. We're likely to emotionally feel uncomfortable, tense, frustrated, which is going to make us much more vulnerable to experiencing more stress. We're going to be influenced in terms of our behavior and our tendencies by the flight, fright, or freeze tendency, where unconsciously our brain is going to either want to attack things and be angry, frustrated, which obviously creates further stress. It's going to make us avoid, hide, move away from things, which makes us feel weak, vulnerable, unconfident, knocks our self-esteem and creates more stress. Also going to make us want to freeze and not deal with the challenges in our life, which creates more stress because we see those things not being dealt with. Yeah, so that's really how stress, anxiety affects us over the short term, like over a day or over a week. And obviously this pattern can compound and can grow stronger and stronger over time. Yeah, but what we're going to go into kind of a bit deeper is this is what I think is the main reason why people get trapped in these issues. Yeah, and the main reason really is knowing in yourself that this is something that keeps us completely trapped. Yeah, that competes us, I'm not even a word, but I just made it up. That creates a blinkers in terms of not allowing us to see things from an accurate perspective, not allowing us to see things in a way that can enable us to actually conquer them. And how does it do this? Well, it does it through one kind of sly but tricky mechanism. Right, so when we look out to the world today, there's things that trigger you, there's things that make you feel anxious, there's things that make you feel stressed, there's things that make you feel uncomfortable. Maybe it's your work, maybe it's your kids, maybe it's your wife, maybe it's thoughts about those things. Yeah, maybe it's experiences, maybe it's thoughts about money, whatever it is. Yeah, so there's things that trigger your stress response, and your stress response goes off, and you feel anxious, you feel stressed, you feel uncomfortable. So from our perspective, which is totally accurate, we look out into the world and we see these things create my stress, these things create my anxiety. So then when someone like me comes along and says, well, you can get rid of your anxiety, you can recover for life from these issues, obviously someone looks at me in a kind of strange way, like, well, these things are creating my anxiety. You can't get rid of my work, you can't get rid of my children, you can't get rid of my wife, you can't get rid of these problems. These things are physical things that exist, and every day they make me feel stressed, every day they make me feel overwhelmed. You can't get rid of my money worries, every day it makes me feel uncomfortable, tense, worried. Can't get rid of my thoughts about paying the mortgage every single day. So people perceive things in a kind of binary black or white way, where these things definitively create my stress, which then tells us that we're totally disempowered to solve the problem because these are real things that we cannot solve. But the reality is not so simple. The reality is that what's happened is this. Over a prolonged period of time, chronic stress has built up, chronic anxiety has built up. And over that period of time, it's built and built and built and built and built and built. And, from our perspective, that's what's happened. Yeah. But, kind of behind closed doors, from in a way that we can't see, something called resilience has slowly but surely got lower and lower and lower. So the longer we live in a chronic stress state, the longer we live in an anxiety-ridden state, the longer we have an anxiety disorder, resilience goes down and down and down and down. And resilience is your body's and brain's natural ability to rebound from stress. Yeah, so we actually do have a natural ability, but you physically lose it, not kind of mentally lose it, but physically it goes away the longer you live in a chronic stress and anxiety ridden state. So what happens is this, it's like a red line, yeah? And the moment people go past that red line, kind of your brain doesn't have the ability, and things are so overwhelming that you just narrowly focus on getting by today, getting through today, enduring today as best you can, yeah? So from our perspective, we're just feeling full of stress, full of anxiety, just enduring the day, and these things are constantly trigger us. But we're not seeing in ourselves that the only reason they're triggering us is because our resilience has got lower and lower and crossed that threshold to the point then where things are overwhelming. Things are just creating too many problems, creating sleep issues, creating marriage problems, leading to wild obsessive thinking, and in a way that we just cannot control. So from our perspective, these things are the issue, but in reality, the issue is that we've lost something that if we had, none of those things would stress us as they do. So let's look at the difference. So if our resilience is low, then imagine smaller things can trigger us. So we could go to an 8 or 9 and 10 out of anxiety over a tiny thing, and it takes longer for us to recover. So it might take 4 or 5 hours. With all my clients, it might take days. One thing triggers them and they could feel that way for days and days afterwards. But let's look at the opposite. So when our resilience is high and strong, that thing may trigger us to a 1, and we may recover 5 minutes later. So the difference is night and day. When we've lost resilience, it's going to be so overwhelming. It's going to be so difficult. It's going to be, everything's going to be totally, stressful, challenging, painful, difficult. And, I know this because I experienced it in my own life lots of times. But knowing in ourselves that it is a real thing. And when you reclaim it, all of those things change. All of those things that are stressing you, that how easily you're getting triggered, how easily you're being stressed, frustrated, overwhelmed, your thoughts, your feelings, your tendencies, everything changes when you regain your resilience. All of those things change. And what it does is it really creates a different person, because when we are stressed, how differently our brain, our body, and our mind functions, we are a totally different person when we're not caught in that chronic stress state, and when we've recovered and we're back to being at our absolute best once again. Cool. So this is really a kind of motivational post to kind of enable you to see in yourself that there's something that needs to be fixed. There's something that needs to be resolved. There's something that you need to recover in order for you to get back to being at your best and for things to flow in a much more easy, much more fun, much more enjoyable way in life for you. Cool. Brilliant, guys. Hope that really helps you, and I look forward to speaking to you tomorrow. Take care.